Afrobeats DJ's perspective is about the story and growth of Afrobeats starting out in West Africa, Lagos, Nigeria. The story covers the genre's journey to the UK, which has been noted as arguably the birthplace of Afrobeats with the S.
That whole Afrobeats thing as a term started in the UK.
Specifically focusing on the DJs and radio personalities who helped foster the growth of Afrobeats. The docu-series features a number of influential figures in the UK Afrobeat scene.
I started on Ben TV 2003, part of this conversation we'll have.
Yeah.
And we were the first in the UK at the time. The first on UK television. I don't even think you understand the magnitude of the power that gave me.
Yeah.
The first African show on a digital platform in the UK.
In the UK.
Omo, Niger, Ghana, all cultures. Yeah. So it got to a point we had to be traveling to Ghana content. We just go to Lagos and spend 2 weeks. All we would do, we just go out there and record stuff and play here. I remember one show we did, went out and then went to eat amala. And we were playing on the show. And a lady called live on the show and she was crying.
Why?
That she's been here for 10 years. That watching us, she misses Lagos. That I'm buying my ticket tomorrow, I don't care.
Afrobeats has also benefited from the emergence of clubs, festivals, and concerts that gather to the genre. These venues and events have provided a platform and a space for Afrobeats lovers to enjoy and celebrate the genre. Each of these individuals played a significant role in introducing Afrobeats and many others to the UK audience.
You cannot talk about Afrobeats and the development of Afrobeats in this country, DJ-wise, and not mention the likes of Casey, Omo White, Dele Adelego, myself, GJ Abbas, Jimmy, more than a guest. You can't. There are others, but that is just to mention about the few.
Overall, this is a celebration of Afrobeats music and the people who helped achieve the global success.
So it's like 1998. So 10 years down the line, when that term Afrobeats emerged, it was basically a term to describe all these songs now, pop songs that are coming out of Africa that we cannot put under an umbrella title. Because the only way it can progress is for it to have a title.
This is the story of how Afrobeats evolved from a niche genre to a global phenomenon. DJ Hubidat continues our conversations with the DJs and radio personalities whose efforts and achievements through the years have championed and supported the growth of the genre in the UK and beyond.
I was the first Nigerian DJ in the UK in the 80s that started playing in Nigerian restaurants. I was the first person to play in a place where we were having pepper soup. We used to play in restaurants and pubs and nightclubs. We used to do West End a lot. We used to have Austin pills and peanuts and groundnuts and crisps and Stella Artois, but nothing Nigerian. We didn't have palm wine. We're drinking palm wine now. We didn't have palm wine. We didn't have Nigerian Guinness. And we drank Guinness with Irish Guinness. And then I met a lady who was running a restaurant in a Nigerian school. In those days, we used to extend our stay with a student visa. So she was running the restaurant. She was running the canteen. But I gave her a couple of my mixes, my tapes we used to use in those days. She was happy with them. And then she said, look, why don't you try something? She is a very good innovator. You know, she said, she was even the one that said to me, why don't you brand yourself? That's why I'm wearing this all the time now.
Nice.
Anyway, her name is Princess Moradeun Shola. And she's still around. She's in this country. She's a very good friend. She comes to Banana a lot. I was the first person to play in our restaurant. Because in those days, that was the only place where we could go and eat some pepper soup. We were having a little bit of garnished beef, Nigerian style, jollof rice in those days, and have some efo. You know, food back home was gold dust then. So I started playing there. We used to do all this before the advent of Afrobeat. Slowly but surely, then we would brand it with a little bit of Fela. We'd chip in some Sonny Neji in those days. Even before Sunny Nigeria, Michael Cree, we used to play Time Na Money, Yekawenu, Bianolo, stuff like that. Vera Ifudu, Lemmy Jackson, stuff like that. Taxi Driver, Mandy Brown, Ojubara. Yeah, Baby Kilo Day, all those. I mean, if you want to trace Afrobeat in this country back, those were the real beginning. We weren't calling them Afrobeat then, but we started playing them, we started mixing them with what we were doing. You cannot give the credit of the promotion and the advent of Afrobeat DJ one in this country to one DJ alone. No. You have to give it to all the Nigerian DJs and Ghanaian DJs too. They were playing hip life then, but everything is now fused into Afrobeat. You have to give the props and the credit to all the DJs because jointly and singularly we promoted it. Okay, some people were more passionate than others. The Abbas was passionate about it.
One of the great legends we speak to is DJ Abbas, an influential personality in the UK Afrobeat scene, and the director of the annual National Nigerian Corner at the Northern Hill Carnival, which is one of the biggest Afrobeats events in the UK.
Hi, I'm DJ Abbas, and welcome to what will be the Nigerian Corner.
No CIB, Niger boy for life.
We are celebrating the 29th year of the Nigerian Corner at the Notting Hill Carnival. Started in 1986 at a corner called Cambridge Gardens, where a lot of Nigerians would congregate and have suya with Obalende suya at the time. I started coming to the carnival from 1992 and became a part of the team in 1998. And in that period, we've witnessed the growth in the corner. We moved from the Cambridge Gardens to Adela Street, not Adeola Street. And one thing about the Nigerian Corner, every you come down, you meet somebody you've not seen for perhaps decades. The success of the genre is there are so many fathers that birthed that success that we easily forget. When you think of the spread, so social media now has made everything easy. But back in the day, it was MySpace. Did you ever use High Five?
No, what was High Five?
Social media. Those are the first social media platforms. High Five, MySpace.
MySpace, yes. I don't remember.
High Five was before social. High Five was the Facebook of the early days.
Oh, interesting.
Back then. Now we take it for granted, You release a hit in Lagos today, in 24 hours, it's across the world. It never used to be like that. Do you get it? So social media, respect. It
did change everything for everybody.
Everything. But before then, there was social media. Social media as we define it today. Back then, it was your phone on your high fives, and then later came was BlackBerry.
Yeah, BlackBerry was a bigger,
massive, and then that died out.
Nokia first, then.
And we've seen the progression ever since then. Because what we would do now on our phones, back in the day, we were doing physically. So we have to get up now, go to Nigeria, buy tickets, fly to Nigeria, record stuff. But we're the only one doing it on UK television. And that, I think, is what kind of moved me from being just a regular DJ to now a DJ with a face that people could align to, pushing a genre.
Yeah.
Because that whole Afrobeats thing, as a term, started in the UK.
When I started playing in London, those days we used to play in nightclubs, go to West End. In fact, I played at the Hippodrome before twice. Hippodrome used to be one of the biggest clubs in Europe. It's in Leicester Square, I think it is. I played there twice, and it's a massive. But we used to go to these clubs and bars and pubs, and all we played was R&B, a little bit of pop, R&B, then reggae after some time, reggae, and then dancehall, bashment, house and garage, and all that. And we used to have peanuts and crisps, and we used to drink Austin Peace and Foster's and anything. We didn't have nothing like pepper soup, nothing like egusi, nothing like pounded yam. No, those were the things we drank. And the Guinness we drank then was the Irish Guinness, and not the Nigerian Guinness that we drink now. Now, I can tell you this categorically, and I would be happy if anybody who wants to disprove what I'm about to say now, come sit with me and you, and we can go live again, and we can have a little conversation. First time I got on the decks, the deck was in the form of a suitcase. It was like a briefcase. I lived in Ikeja, very close to Ikeja Airport, Tony Street axis of Ikeja, if you know the area very well. And in our days, late 70s, early 80s, literally every single house was rented by pilots, flight assistants, air hostesses. So our tree was a 4-flat, typical Nigerian setup, but our 3 tenants were all pilots. So I did little bits and pieces for them, help them wash their cars, blah, 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 look after them, go run little errands for them in return for favors. So when one of them came one day for my birthday, he just gave me this. I said, why is this man giving me this big bulky suitcase for my birthday? He said, oh, just take it. You're going to like it. He knew I love music anyway. He used to, I love music so much. So I took it, opened it, and it was like speakers and a turntable.
Wow. You want?
Yeah, it was like a big briefcase. Yeah, it was like a briefcase. But when you dismantle it, you got speakers and a turntable, and you just plug it in and you can start playing. So that's where I started. God, we used to have some fantastic parties in my house with that small stuff. And then I took it with me. I went to St. Gregory's College of Alinde. And yeah, we used to have our little outlawed dormitory parties when everybody's gone to sleep. We do our thing. That's how it started. And then from there, I graduated into buying a SoundLab deck, a proper deck. And then I was lucky to be driving from secondary school from 4 because my dad bought my mom another car, and I persuaded my mom not to sell a car because I needed it. It was an estate car, so I was putting my speakers in it. I used to travel everywhere. I used to do colleges of educational institutions and stuff like that. So I started doing DJing there, but I didn't know how to mix. So when I came here, came in this country in 86, and by 1988 I started DJing because it took me 2 years to put my stuff together. Then when Omo White came in the early 90s, DJ Omo White, he actually taught me to mix.
Oh, no.
DJ Omo White taught me to mix. KC and Dele Adelego and a guy called Andy Pro, they improved me tremendously. By giving me constructive criticism, sometimes by telling me how rubbish I am. And but with time, because I had the interest, it's my blood, that's what I really wanted to do. I became a better DJ, and I've not turned back since. I mean, look at me now at my age, I'm still relevant. So I'm happy for my career.
So many genres, and oftentimes the name comes before the genre.
What name?
Any name. So if you're starting, say, garage music,
Right.
the name garage evolves alongside the music. The difference with Afrobeats is the music had been in existence before that term emerged. That term emerged in the UK to now start to describe some types of music. So when Afrobeat, the term, emerged in the UK in 2008, 2009, the music that name was describing had been existing for a while.
So covering everything.
So
mostly
Nigeria,
African,
Nigeria, Ghana, Kwaito in South Africa. Why did it emerge? What became clear was that all these songs were coming into the UK, but there was no umbrella title. So even you be DJ now, back then you really recorded a mix and you wanted to load it onto a platform, and the platform will ask, what genre does this mix belong to? They will give you soul, R&B, but there was never Afrobeats. There was never African.
Yeah, there wasn't that
So
category.
in the 2008, 2009, the term, we used to call it Afropop or Niger Pop.
I see.
But 2008, 2009, the term Afrobeat, we in the UK, as DJs, individually for me, it was, or some would call it African beats, I would call it Niger Pop or Afropop if it was Nigerian music. My first Nigerian mixtape was 2000. I call it Downtown Lagos. It had 18 songs in it, and it was basically pop songs of that, Nigerian pop songs of that era.
Nice.
So he had Remedies, he had Plantation Boys, he had Idris Abdul Karim, and we had all those acts. 18 songs. Had Onyeka Onwenu and a few of those classics. Had what's his name, Mike Okri. 2000. But then we did not have an umbrella term. So as it progressed, particularly in the UK, I always describe the UK as the 37th state of Nigeria, particularly London. London is where you have the largest number of Nigerians outside of Nigeria.
So the population is very
Numbers, number one. The largest gathering of Nigerians outside of Nigeria is London. So I describe it as the 37th state of Nigeria. So gradually when some of those songs started coming in, Mio Shakomo was a very, very popular one. Mio Shakomo was actually the first tape they put out, mixtape they put out, was the vocals on MC Light's Keep On. That was it. And then when they now remade it, they remade it properly in the studio and dropped it as Shakomo. That was the first one. The term Afrobeat was not existing then. It wasn't existing. So 10 years down, and this was like 1998. So 10 years down the line, when that term Afrobeats emerged, it was basically a term to describe all these songs now, pop songs that are coming out of Africa that we cannot put under an umbrella title. Because the only way it can progress is for it to have a title. And I remember when we started calling it Afrobeats, there was a lot of backlash from Nigeria. It's like, why are you people trying to steal Fela's title? Which one is this Afro? Major backlash. Go and speak with any major industry player in Nigeria today and tell them that when they heard the term Afrobeats, what did they think?
This is around 2009.
2008, 2009.
So there was some people just like, why are we calling it something?
From the motherland.
Interesting.
But it became a title. So even when you do your mixtapes now, you can now write Afrobeats mixtape on it.
Yeah.
That was the term. And that was the first step in the globalization of Afrobeats. It needs to have a name. It needs to have a categorization. If it doesn't have a name, really, it's just anything else.
Right.
So 2008, 2009, very pivotal in the growth of this thing because the name developed. Even today, if you look at the global explosion of Afrobeats, the UK is the epicenter.
Yeah.
Talk about concerts. Talk about deals. All types of deals come. It started here. I always describe UK as John the Baptist. America is the Jesus Christ because that's the biggest market. So in the last few years right now, it's broken into America. 2018, just before the pandemic, I was in New York. And I was driving with my family, a family holiday, and I was listening to Hot 97.
Yeah.
And they were playing Davido's If and Fall.
Yep.
And my children always make fun of me. My other son is 28. And there was dad is always, and I remember I was tripping and they were playing If and Fall on rotation on Hot 97. We're driving through Manhattan. For me, they're too young to understand what that means to me. Because I'm thinking, this is New York on the biggest station.
Yeah.
And they're now playing Afrobeats. So when we think about, because we're all waiting for that moment when this thing will now penetrate the US. The UK has done its beats.
Right.
The biggest concerts, the biggest gathering. The UK was buzzing. But America is the largest market. So going there in 2018, and I'm now listening to Davido on rotation, non-stop. Did they engineer it? Maybe. Because there's sort of engineering behind the scene.
What do you mean by that?
Engineering means if you have a team and you have a big song and you have the budget, you can go to some of these stations and say, you know what, guys?
Yeah.
Help us put this in a rotation.
$100,000.
It happens.
Yeah.
So 2018, I always say like, with If and Fall, those two songs, that was the main catalyst. Before then, you had IOJ.
Yeah. Can I get a number? I live in DC.
Yeah.
So
You had IOJ, but it didn't break nationwide.
No, but I started hearing it.
So, yeah.
Earlier.
It was there earlier,
it was one of those.
But it didn't have the same momentum that If and Fall had.
Okay.
I
see your point.
So when I heard that in 2018, it was 2008, I'm like, this soup done. And the good thing was, just on the back of that, other artists started kicking in. Essence, the album, when he dropped that album, it started getting inroads in America. But then when Obama added it to his playlist for the end of the year,
yeah, I was on Instagram.
It took on a new life.
There was some of Tem's songs also on that list, I think.
No. Not the first one. Not the first. That year, when Obama first did that list and he added Essence.
Got it.
Because I believe that was what necessitated the re-release, the deluxe album.
Got it.
So they released that same album the following year and just added Mood and added Anoti and added the remix with Timberlake of Essence.
Volume. Yeah.
So pretty much it's like that album had a 2-year stretch.
Yeah.
It was on the Billboard album charts for over 60 weeks. Pushed away Fela's hit that's been there for Youngs. Do you get it? So following the Davido, when Davido's If and Fall came, the good thing was there were now a succession of songs that were now, because you need to have that continuity to keep it going. But I always say Davido was the first big star that broke America with If and Fall, no argument. And then everybody, and then Essence came in, with Wiz and then Thames kind of like stepped out and carved her own little niche. Because her niche, would I even describe Thames as Afrobeat? That's another conversation there. That's another conversation, But she's doing her thing.
Yeah.
You get it, So, and then on the back of that, you have your Remas, and it's now gone all global. But the long and short of all of this conversation is down to the creation of that term, Afrobeats, that emerged in the UK. The biggest shows are still in the UK. There's a fundamental difference between Afrobeat and Afrobeats. And though many people kick against Afrobeats the term when it started, today Afrobeats has been the biggest compliment to Fela Kuti because it has also kept his name alive. And people now draw inferences between both. And I would say the artist who has kind of like created that closest fusion between both is Burna Boy. Clear to see.
Yeah.
In the lyrics, in the presentation, even on stage.
Burna
Boy is a monster.
He's a monster on stage. He's a
so
rock star.
I think he's the closest music-wise.
Yeah.
Music-wise. Because a lot of the Afrobeat songs we hear did not necessarily derive their motivation from Afrobeat. Fela's Afrobeat. Because Fela's Afrobeat is a clear and different sound. But you listen to Burna.
Is it? If Ojo Elegba, I remember when Wizzy did that. That was heavily, the whole album. It sounded...
It's not an Afrobeat song.
Would you not term that Afrobeat?
Fela's Afrobeat?
No.
Afrobeats? It's Afrobeats, yes.
Okay.
And what I'm saying right now is that not every Afrobeat song
can be connected to Fela.
But you listen to Burna Boy.
It is.
In the lyrics, in the presentation,
Yes.
in the sound. I think he's the closest.
He's the closest, yes. I agree.
And I think Burna Boy right now is in the top 5 biggest acts on stage in the world. Global.
Yes.
Not just Afrobeat. So.
No.
And he's a fantastic ambassador to have. But it's good that we can kind of like define this genealogy, kicking off from Davido, If and Fall in America, and then the UK being like a hub. And what makes the UK special?
Yeah.
London it's one hub. America is very fragmented. To break America is not a joke.
Yeah. It's multiple states with different cultures.
Even till today.
Yeah.
And even the Nigerians in America in different cities, they are also influenced by their different environments.
Yeah.
And then you have the logistical issues of moving from, but London is just one hub, 6 hours away from Lagos. We had our first Afrobeat, first Nigerian independence show, because my show then in 2003 on TV that I was alluding to, we were the first to have an indigenous Nigerian African music show on Sky Television in the UK. That's like the DSTV of the United Kingdom, seen across, and it's seen all over Europe, in 2003, you need to close your eyes and go back.
Go back a little bit.
No social media. This was the only portal where people could watch us. So 2003, for my good friend and partner, Ayo Shonaya, who produced the documentary, Afrobeats, The Backstory, invited me and said, Abbas, we now have a station. I went to the station. Fantastic. And the plan was now to start this program called Intro with DJ Abbas, which is basically music of the world. And initially wanted to zone in on American music, but very quickly we realized that we can't compete with MTV.
When you first started,
in terms of artists, my first guest was Charlie Boy, April 2003. So he came on the show and we realized that, look, we have all these artists, we know them. So when they would come over to the UK, they come on the show, and then we would go to Nigeria to do specials and strictly just think of all the big acts from 2003 to date. Name any one of them. We'll go back there, sit down with them, interviews. I remember the one beautiful one we had with OJB, rest in peace, came on the show.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you know, talked about, he was the hottest producers at the time. Two-Face, most of the Kenny's music production, he was handling it then, you know. And at times I look at those conversations today, it makes us look like prophets. It's almost like we saw this thing
coming, yeah.
But what was driving us was the passion. So we'll go to Nigeria and film that and then bring it to the UK and play it on TV. And you need to remember then, because there was no social media, a hit in Nigeria then would normally take about 6 months before it filtered into the UK, and maybe a year or a year and a half to get to America. So classic example, 2007, I went to Nigeria. It was my birthday, January 9th, and Olu of Maintain just came over to me and said, in Lagos, I was at this hotel in Ikeja. I said, Papa, got this new song, Yahooze. You know, he's hitting in Nigeria already, in Ibadan, because Tolu, his partner, na Ibadan boy. So he was already kicking Ibadan. I said, but help us take it to the UK. And they gave us the video and the song. So I came back to the UK. We broke the video on TV, and then circulated the music with all the DJs back in London, and Yahooze started rolling. And that's how we brought Yahooze in here.
The reason why I became a DJ was because I wanted to own a particular single, Big Papa by Notorious B.I.G. I wanted the So Def remix. I wanted it so bad. I was willing to pay any amount for it.
As a DJ, looking at the new, technology coming out, the decks, how more advanced it is. For Christ's sake, there's a DJ called DJ iPhone, and he DJs from his iPhone, and he's really dope.
Nigerian, African DJs, they laid a lot of groundwork in promoting, in quote, Afrobeats.